Good evening, March 26th. It's almost midnight, not quite. Thank you for tuning in. I think what we're going to do is talk about the financial crisis. Maybe you're having trouble paying your mortgage. Maybe you're having trouble paying your loans, your credit cards. You're not saving anything. You can't make your car payments. Maybe you've lost some of your stuff. Let's make it nice and simple. What is a financial crisis? A financial crisis means that you don't have any money to pay for things. But not only you, the country. How did this happen? What brought us to this stage? Where did everything go wrong? It's actually quite simple. You see, in the olden days, you used to have to buy things with cash. That means if you couldn't afford it, you couldn't have it. If you couldn't pay for all of it with cash, you couldn't get it. And then they invented something called credit. Now, certainly, credit has been around for a long time. The borrower is always servant to the lender. We know that. But even when credit was around and started, there was a few things in place. If you wanted to buy a house, at one point, not too long ago, maybe 30 years, you needed about 25 or 30% down. And your mortgage payments couldn't exceed 25 to 30% of your income. That wasn't a bad deal. But then something changed. And policy was implemented where they started to say, you know what? You don't need 25 or 30% down. You only need 20% down. And then it changed again where you only needed 15% down. And then it changed again where you only needed 10% down. 5% down. Nothing down. And it really didn't matter what your income was. And not only could you get a house with nothing down and little income, but you could start to get credit cards. $5,000 limits, $10,000 limits, $20,000 limits, no limits on the credit cards, virtually no limits. Loans were easy to get. What happens when this happens? Well, you start to create money. Credit cards actually create money. Loans actually create money, but that's another story. It gets a little complicated. But suffice it to say that things are easy to buy. You don't need anything down. Your credit card, it's $30,000 max. You can max that baby out. Maybe you can even get another credit card to pay that one off, although they stopped that. And you could get another loan. You just sign here, get a car. What happens? Well, this whole thing happens along the way, when people do that, it's called inflation. Prices start rising. People have so much money and so much access to money and or credit that it's no problem, because if you want to buy that house for $200,000, but someone else wants to pay $250 for it, you have still no problem paying $300 for it. Bid it up, because you can get the mortgage. You don't need anything down. That's called inflation. And the demand for products starts to outweigh the supply. Oh, certainly the economists will argue, but there's supply. But no, you see, there's unlimited money, so you can bid things up. A loaf of bread costs $1. If it costs $2, who cares? You can buy it, you got money. But eventually, comes time to pay the piper. Because everything gets so high in price that all of a sudden you can't pay back those mortgages and loans and credit cards. You're scrambling. Not only are you scrambling, but the country's scrambling. The government, the big boys, they're spending, but there's no more money. And they're borrowing to spend. But there's nothing to pay back. They don't have the money to pay it back. And eventually things start collapsing. You can't pay your mortgage. You can't pay those credit cards. You can't pay those loans. The banks start taking back the houses. The car companies start taking back the cars. Credit card companies are phoning. You're in trouble. But not just you. The country as a whole. The big institutions. General Motors, AIG, can name more. Billions and billions in debt. Can't pay it back. Government prints money, borrows money to try and get the economy going. Is that going to work? Theoretically, it might. I doubt it. That's lesson 1. Stay tuned.